I just wanted to say hello, let you know that I miss you and I love you. Tasha, I really do miss you a lot. Think about you every day. I just can't wait to come home, be with you again, be by you again. My love for you grows every day. You're always on my mind. What I think about all day long, you're what I dream about too. I'm really looking forward to December when we get to walk down to church and do our church vows. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be beautiful. Can't wait to see you in your wedding dress.
For our hearts to keep the promise of loving you, we pray.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For our lives to keep the promise of growing, we pray.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For Richard and Natasha to keep the promise of their commitment to each other in marriage, we pray.
Lord, hear our prayer.
It was the happiest moment of my life. Friends said that they hoped that they could find a guy that would love them the way that he loved me. His whole world revolved around me and our family. And it's not quite like that now. I would definitely say today that our relationship is 180 degrees different than it was when we married, because I went from wife to caregiver.
My first tour was to Kuwait in June of '03. The second deployment was it was a rough one. A lot of mortar attacks, dealing with a lot of blown up vehicles, and coming home from it, I was home for like a year and a half.
That's actually the start of when the changes started, would be from the second deployment in his behavior and his personality.
Just as we were about to enter into the barracks, a mortar hit about 50 yards from us, and the blast pushed me into the wall, and I thought I was dead. I thought I had gotten blown up. First thing that went through my head was flag draped coffin and a flag being handed to my wife. It took me a couple minutes afterwards to realize that I was okay, that I wasn't bleeding or didn't get hit by any of the shrapnel. I don't know if you can see it too well, but it's what my hand's been doing. Hopefully it stops when I get home. Medication's been helping, but not really. Guys at work make jokes about it. They call me Shake, stuff like that. I came home a different person, and that showed. And there's that awkward moment, because when you first get home, it doesn't really sink in. And then a few days later, when it finally sinks in, it's just a really weird feeling, kind of an awkward feeling.
You know, we have a very defining moment. My son was 11 days old, and I was in the kitchen at the front of the house, and my husband was at the back of the house in my son's room trying to change his diaper. And from the back of the house, I heard my husband say, "If you don't shut the F up, I'm going to slit your throat." And I moved very quickly to the back of the house and I said, "Give me my son." And at that point, it wasn't his son, because I don't know who was standing there.
When I realized I really changed, I was scared, because I didn't know who I had become or what I'd become. All I knew is I was making death threats to my small child and yelling at my wife and getting in altercations with people and trying to fight people and just being an all-around jerk that I wasn't, that I never used to be. It scared me.
He's supposed to be watching the kids. The kids are covered in mud. It's almost 11.
I don't care. I went to get help because 4th of July, 2 years ago, I flipped out during the fireworks and was curled up on a ball on the couch for like 45 minutes, crying, clutching a wooden rifle, screaming that I want to go home. And my wife couldn't get me out of it. She couldn't get the rifle away from me. She couldn't do anything. And so I realized something was wrong. September of 2007, I went to National Treatment Center for PTSD in Palo Alto, which is up in San Francisco. I did 3 months of inpatient.
How'd that go, Natasha?
Treatment?
Yeah.
He's not practicing his
Right.
tools. He's not. So it's been a lot more stressful for me. And he's taking it out on the kids. Unfortunately, before he went to treatment, he always took it out on me. And then when he got back from treatment, when he was unable to control it or whatever, he would take it out on me. And over the course of maybe the last 2 months, he started taking it out on the children as well. And I'm at the point where I can't protect them. He's just choosing a form of discipline that I wouldn't necessarily agree with. He's not hurting them, but I don't want my children to be afraid of him. And I don't want them, if he gets too close, to back up. And that's what's starting to happen. The little ones usually don't find comfort in him. Everything is on me now, which means that they're definitely being affected by his behavior. My oldest is 11, and her name is Anastasia. My middle one is Isabella, and she's 3. And then my son is just about 21 months old, and his name is Devlin. The little ones, I think, are a little bit more understanding because they don't know any different. It's the 11-year-old that I'm trying to get on cue here. So that's another battle that I take on daily.
After the break, we'll be talking to Natasha about the life changes her and her family have experienced since her husband's return from Iraq. Stay with us.